Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of No Smoke. Today we're going to be talking about Starbucks. Recently they found themselves in the news for an incident that occurred at one of their Philadelphia locations. If you haven't heard the story, two black males entered their restaurant or their coffee house to wait on a friend of theirs. And while they were waiting, one of the employees, for whatever reason, decided that they were on trespass, asked them to leave. They refused to do so, at which point in time the cops were called and they were arrested for trespassing. And so, like many things in our country nowadays, there are people on both sides. Some are saying that the employee was right, that they were trespassing because they did not buy anything, and some are saying, differently. And so I'm going to address both sides of this. To the people saying that the employee was right, that they didn't buy anything, they were trespassing, therefore, if they refused to leave, that the cops should have been called. If anybody drinks Starbucks or frequents one of their chains, you realize people are in there all the time. I've seen people in there watching movies, drinking, a beverage that didn't come from the store. I swear during Christmas time, people bring their air mattresses and watch Polar Express on the floor. And so if trespassing is something that Starbucks, really takes serious as an organization, they don't act like it. I've never seen anybody put on trespass notice or even for vagrancy or anything like that. And so if they stand by that, they have a funny way of showing it. Oftentimes what happens is, which I believe to be the truth in this situation is, and just a real fact, people are intimidated sometimes by black males. I'm 6'4", north of 250, and I have plenty of experiences where I went to a doctor's office or a restaurant or any kind of public place, and sometimes people have looked at me with the fear of God in their eyes. And sometimes what I've done in return is I do something called disarming, which basically, long story short, is make the people feel comfortable around me. Now that's something that I should not have to do. I don't even advocate for that. But it's a reality that the only time people kind of let their guard down and get relaxed is after I have disarmed them. And there are many different ways to do that. I may do a video on that later, but it's a reality that I live with. And so I can certainly identify with those males that went into that chain and some of the looks they probably may have gotten from the employees or even some of the patrons. But I think the employee missed a moment where they could have been honest about the situation. I believe that employee would have said, look, because of some personal hang-ups or the media or sometimes what's portrayed about black males, I got a little spooked, I overreacted, I jumped the gun, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But instead that employee chose to hide behind some policy that Starbucks doesn't enforce, or at the very least doesn't care about, if there is a policy on that. And so for people advocating for the employee, be honest with yourself. When have you ever seen that policy enforced? You go into Starbucks, if you frequent them all the time, and see people lounging out, comatose, watching movies. And so don't act like that's a precedent that Starbucks, has taken before this incident. The second part of this is that the CEO of Starbucks has came out and, tried to do the right thing and apologized and said that's not where he stands on that policy or some of the reactions that happened with it. Recently he announced that next month he's going to close all of their stores for one day for employees to undergo training for racial sensitivity and all that good stuff. And so my personal opinion, I just feel that's an overreach. I don't think he has to do that. I think it was an isolated incident. I don't think the Starbucks chain, I don't think that type of behavior is systemic in Starbucks. And so I feel personally that he doesn't have to do that. But if he chooses to, that's certainly his prerogative, and I applaud him for taking those measures. But I think a bigger point is made here. As an employer, you have to make sure your employees know where you stand. And that's morally, ethically, as far as the way your business is run, some of your viewpoints, some of your standards. If not, the consequences can be dire. That employee can then interject their own beliefs and their own standards and morals into your company, and the results can be disastrous. As an employee, you need to have a clear understanding of what your employer expects from you and what your employer believes and how they expect you to conduct yourself. If not, you can find yourself on the outside end looking for another job. And so just think about this one employee. Starbucks is a billion-dollar company. This $10 an hour, somewhere around that range, employee has costed them millions of dollars. And so while Starbucks is a huge juggernaut, and they're going to be okay, they're going to survive this, they're going to take this hit, but they're certainly going to be around for a long time afterwards. A smaller company may not have. And so don't underestimate the importance of one person working for your company, because the results can be devastating if they make the wrong step. And that's No Smoke.